We begin tonight with a Missouri City police officer in stable condition after she was shot in the face following a pursuit earlier this morning.
The door opens and I feel like 30 pair of hands just grab me. Like everybody just grabbed me. They carried me in, slapped me on like what felt like a slab table, right? Metal slab table.
On the last episode of the Blue Grit podcast.
And then another vehicle had came. So there was multiple people. So there was just two of them and multiple of them. So they didn't want to make contact just yet. Okay, well, me and Landry were on our way. That turned into it, the car bolts out. So the car bolts out, and one of the officers that were there, she goes right behind it. So I pop a U, Landry pops a U, and the pursuit ensues, right? So at some point through the pursuit, we end up in a residential area. And I remember that because Landry is saying it, I can hear her. I'm kind of keeping up, but at this point, I know we just hit this residential area. You either know it or you know somebody around here. You're going to, like, I already know that
right.
the foot pursuit is now going to come out of this. I already know it's coming. Well, when I round that corner, I see that it's pulled into a driveway, and I'm like, I'm thinking this is where he lives, right? So I pull up, I'm thinking he's already out. Nope, he had just gotten out of the car. Well, then he falls. I get excited because there was like this joke with me and Landry is like, I'm going to run. Like, I'm going to be right next to you, kind of. I'm not a fast runner. But I'm going to be there. Like, if you're running, I'm going to be either right next to you or right behind you. But I'm coming with you, right? And I want to say I'm probably standing in that backyard 5 seconds, 6 seconds. And then boom, 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 boom. I never saw a gun. I never saw his hands. I never saw his face. I never saw his clothes. I never saw anything other than his silhouette when he was climbing that fence on the other side. And what's crazy is that I never heard the gun because what we're assuming. But then he jumps down and he jumps into like this pocket of blackness, like darkness. I can't see anything. And I want to say I'm probably standing in that backyard 5 seconds, 6 seconds. And then boom, 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 boom. I never saw a gun. I never saw his hands. I never saw his face. I never saw his clothes. I never saw anything other than his silhouette when he was climbing that fence on the other side. And what's crazy is that I never heard the gun because what we're assuming, and this is us just taking a guess, is that the first shot probably is the one that hit me here in the face because I had to watch my video and say, oh, wow, like he shot at me a lot. I didn't realize I was shot until I got to the hospital. I was bleeding profusely. So, rewind.
He jumped on the other side of the fence?
He never made it. He jumped back down.
Okay,
and he jumped back down into like this pocket of darkness.
Shadow.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Shadow.
I couldn't see anything. And as soon as he jumped down, that's when.
And how far away from you when this took place?
10, not even 15. I mean, we were not this close, but we were, I mean, if he was a little bit further than that wall, like we were pretty close, but I didn't see anything because he just jumped down into the darkness, right? And so I remember specifically, like, going down. I remember, and I was looking at this watch right here. I was going straight into my watch, like it just, boom. Well, then in my head, it's processing all just simultaneously, right? Just it keeps going. So I remember getting back up, like, and so I'm looking at my watch again, but it's like this ringing is in my ear, and everything sounds muffled. So I could hear. So I had my radio and the radio and the mic right here. I could hear that there were voices coming through it, but it almost sounded as if my radio was like on the other side of the gate. Like it just sounded so far away, muffled. Like if you close your ears, it sounded like that. So who knows what they were saying? I couldn't tell you what they were saying. I couldn't make it out. I could just hear the dispatcher's voice, and that's it. I can make out her voice.
And you don't think or know you're shot?
Absolutely not. No. But as I come up, I'm just like bleeding. Think like a shower head. I'm just like blood is just like blood's everywhere. I'm like, what? And I'm thinking like, what the hell? And I was like, connect with your body, connect with your body. Like, did you cut yourself on that gate? Like, and I'm trying to see where I'm hurt. I can't feel anything. I feel absolutely nothing. And so then I'm trying to get up with my left leg, just trying to get and I keep slipping and falling. And it's not because of the blood. It's just I can't catch my footing. Like my foot is not sticking to the ground. And I'm like, what's going on? I can't get up. So I get on the radio. I'm like, please help me. Like because I'm trying to get up. Yeah. And I confirmed with the video. It took about 20 seconds after that for Landry to find me. Because what happened is we got to that backyard so quick, Landry hadn't even parked yet. So he didn't see what backyard I went into. And so the last thing that they heard before the shots were fired is that he's coming back around the front of the house. So Landry is thinking, they're at the front of the house somewhere. So he starts, and, you know, I saw his video, and it's crazy. His video is a little crazier than mine, and I think it's because I'm seeing it from his perspective, right? But he's like scanning. He's looking. He's trying to find me, and he can't. He's screaming, 913, 913, where are you? Nothing. And so he just starts, he tells me, like, later on, I just started from square one. Like, I had to calm myself down, regroup my thoughts, and like start with my like basic training. Start at the beginning. He's like, so I went back to the car. I checked the car, and then so he said he rounded that corner, and that's where he saw me. And I was trying to crawl back to the side of the gate where I had come in from, and I remember I could see his light, like kind of going up and down and whatnot, and then I saw his silhouette, and like the relief that I got, like in that moment, I knew like he found me. I'm good. Like I'm good. And so he gets over, and I'm wearing my outer vest. So he's like trying to get me up, but I cannot stand up. Well, he's thinking, we don't know if this is like a setup, right? So we talked after, and so this is why I'm saying this is what he's thinking. He's thinking, what if this was a setup? What if this was a setup ambush? What if there's more people back here? I haven't cleared it. I can't find the shooter. Like, I don't know.
They brought you to that house to be ambushed.
Exactly. So he's trying to get to me, but also, and so he is to me, but he's also like still trying to look. So he's trying to drag me. Well, he's dragging me, and I remember it's like rubbing on the back of my head, and it was like the most sore feeling, like worst shoulder workout you can imagine, plus your neck. I mean, it was bad. And I was like, stop. What did I say? Stop dragging me. And he just kept dragging me. Well, he can't get us through that gate. So he's like, I'm going to throw over the fence. And I remember just plopping on the other side of the gate. He picked me up and threw me over, right? Well, then we get on that side, and he picks me up again, throws me over his shoulder. And I remember my radio was not in the holster. It was just dangling. And I was like, Landry, my radio. He goes, man, fuck that radio. He was so mad, right? So then the other officer that had been at the gas station finally pulls up after he got some information from the other car that was there, right? So he throws me in the back of the car. Another officer gets in with me, and we take off to the hospital. Again, I have no idea I'm shot. No idea. I know that I'm probably still bleeding because the officer that I'm with, she's saying, like, you're bleeding a lot. She starts taking off my vest. I guess she's trying to see where else I was hit. And I just remember, like, it was like the calmest ride. Even though it wasn't for anybody else, for me, I didn't feel the bumps. I didn't feel the chaos. Like, everything just kind of calmed down.
You're thinking you're just injured? Like you fell and got injured
something. Yeah,
or something?
I never think about, like, she got shot because I never heard a gunshot. I never heard it. And so then...
and you can see out of both eyes?
Yeah, I can see out of both eyes. I can see. So I'm at one point. So then I'm laying down. So she has me laying down, like, across her lap. And I'm just, like, looking up at the cage, looking out, like, kind of the window. And I can see all, like, the street lights and whatnot. I can hear the commotion. So the driver, his phone, I couldn't tell you where it was. Apparently it had fallen under the seat somewhere. But he's just trying to get the hell out of there. Well, her phone... What did she say? I think her phone had just died or something like that had happened. Or her phone was still in her unit, but she was no longer at her car. She was now in this other car. And then my phone, I kept it in my vest here. Well, nobody ever asked me for my phone. I was like, I would have just gave you all my phone, right? So, of course, and I'm not processing this at that time. I'm just laying there. And so she was like, just get to the hospital. He's like, I don't know where to go. So then dispatch is able to, like, see us on the AVL, on the computer. So they can see where our body is with our body camera and where our car is with the car tracker. So they're guiding him all the way to the trauma center. I couldn't tell you how long that was because at some points, the officer that was with me in the back, she's like, Crystal, stay awake. And I'm like, I'm awake. She's like, stay awake. Like, she was shaking me to wake up. So I don't know if I was going in and out in my head. I never did. And so then I just remember, like, she kept saying that, and I was getting frustrated. I was like, stop shaking me. Stop waking, like, stop. And then I probably said at that time I didn't have my youngest son. He had just turned 4 2 days prior to that, right? So I had my 4-year-old, and I remember just saying, just stay awake for JoJo, and that's what kept me awake the whole time. Like, I probably said it like 2 million times, no joke. Like, I just said it until I got to the hospital. Well, then we get there, and I think that, like, HPD had blocked off some streets when we had gotten into, I guess, wherever the trauma center is, so that we could just straight shot through. We get to the hospital. The door opens, and I feel like 30 pair of hands just grab me. Like, everybody just grabbed me. They carry me in. Slapped me on, like, what felt like a slab table, right? Metal slab table. And I could hear the nurses, like, there's a lot of people in there. And I could just hear a lot of chatter. And then she's like, gunshot wound to the face. I was like, what?
Who?
Like, what? And so then they sit me up. I'm sorry. They sit me up, and I can hear that their like exit wound is behind the ear. And I was like, what? And then they pull out a razor. What is it called?
Shaver.
Is it a razor
Yeah,
shaver?
yeah.
Right? So you just hear the bzzz, like the buzzing of it. And I was like, don't cut too much off. So then they start laughing, right? So they just go in and they start shaving like this chunk back here. After that, I'm laying on the table again.
What was it like hearing, oh shit, I got shot?
I was just, like I said, I was like in this really weird, like calm phase. Like I knew I was okay because I was alert. I knew I was with the doctors and the nurses. I didn't feel like panicked. At no point did I feel like I was going to die. I just felt like, what? Like I got shot. So I'm laying there, and the female officer that's with me is kind of sitting where, like over here where this camera is. And she's like, what do I do? What do I do? And I was like, call my sister and call my boyfriend. And so I guess she had gotten my phone from like when they took off my vest and whatnot. And so she, I could hear her because this is the good side. So now I'm legally deaf in this one. They had to close my ear. It blew out into a billion trillion pieces. So I couldn't hear out of this ear. I can hear her on this side. And she calls my sister and she's like, hey. And of course, it's the worst opening. Hey, is this so-and-so? And she's like, yeah. And the officer, she goes, this is Officer Blank with Missouri City Police Department. And it's just like the way she came off on my phone to my sister. I can't imagine that call at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? And so she tells her, and it's not this sister, it's my other sister, because that sister would, so I have like my oldest sister that's like the mama bear. She protects us all. She, takes care of us, keeps us in line. And then I had the middle sister where she's just like, she's going to put you in your place and she's going to tell you how it's going to go. You're in charge, but she's going to tell you how it's going to go, right? So I was like, just call her because she'll let everybody that needs to know, and she'll facilitate it calmly. My other sister probably wouldn't have been so calm, right? So she gives her that call. Well, then she calls my boyfriend after that, my fiance now, but boyfriend then. And she goes, hey, this is Officer so-and-so. Crystal's been shot. And he's told me later the conversation, but he's like, what? And mind you, he had just got off the phone with me like an hour before. He was had been drinking and whatnot. And he was like, wait. So she says, yeah, she was shot in the face. He goes, she was shot in the face and she's talking to you? So it's not making sense to him in his head. He's in Miami. So now he's trying to figure out a way to get back over here, right? So,
yeah, shot in the face and they're talking to me right now. Don't usually go together.
And then she asks me, Crystal, how are you feeling? He goes, are you talking to her right now? So he's just in disbelief that I'm even having a conversation
This is
while
a bad prank.
What the fuck do you think
Right?
I'm feeling? I'm shot in the goddamn face.
Yeah.
So then after that, once I knew that she had called my sister and him, it's like my body just relaxed. It could have also been that they were sticking me with a whole bunch of stuff. I have no idea because, again, I never felt anything. I think I woke up at one point and I could feel them tugging over here on my eyebrow and here on my face. They were giving me stitches. And I could just feel like the tugging of it. So I'm pretty sure they hit me with something. I just don't know what. And then I would wake up and go back down. Wake up and go back down. And then later on, that's when I found out I was shot in the leg. Because they said that my leg kept bleeding, but they couldn't figure out why.
And that's why you couldn't get
That's
up.
why couldn't you leave? Yeah.
But then I was also shot in the big toe, which is why I couldn't get up, which we found out later. Yeah. So then I had this ear that's now out, ringing, and then I had the other side with the shot calf and a shot toe. So it all makes sense.
And if people don't realize your big toe, how much leverage to walk, your balance.
Yep.
Injured big toe it will screw up your ability of balance, walk, to stride.
Yeah.
No,
it really does.
It screws you up.
So, and then they say the same thing with like your hearing. So,
Yeah.
so then I had the imbalance here and the imbalance here. So I
Equilibrium.
was trying to figure that out. Walking again.
So hit 3 times.
I think there was a fourth. Didn't he hit my radio? I think he had hit my radio.
I'm not sure about that. I know the radio got drugged from the scene to the hospital. So that was on a video trying to figure out what happened to the radio.
Because it was like tore up, right? They said that it was just like in shambles.
Got closed in the door, I guess, and then drugged to
Yeah,
the
drug. So yeah, that just kind of go back on that. Loading that up in the car, loading her up in the car was became a training issue. We wound up bringing in Lifelite. So Houston is lucky, and we have Lifelite. So kind of lessons learned. If you're going to load a fallen officer into a car, know where the hospital is. So our dispatchers literally had to provide directions to the officers. So
were y'all in Mo City when it took place?
no, it was in the city of Houston. It was just right outside. So Missouri City borders the city of Houston kind of pretty much on two sides. And then we border Sugar Land and Stafford on the other ends. But yeah, so it was in the city of Houston. It was HPD's jurisdiction. But yeah, I mean, it was just a training opportunity to bring in Lifeline and say, hey, if you have somebody, injured, let's secure the scene, find a secure landing zone, and let's bring the bird in. Like, let's bring somebody that's going to be able to provide medical assistance immediately. So, just a training opportunity. Did they do anything wrong? No. I mean, we all know if you see a fellow officer fallen and you want to help them immediately.
Right.
And what's the best way? Get them to the hospital, right?
Load and go.
Load and go. So, yeah, I mean, just that opportunity to do that training with our officers, identifying that, hey, let's slow it down, just like like she mentioned on Landry, slowing it down and going back. That's kind of what we did with our officers, and we brought in Memorial Hermann Lifeline and kind of worked through, hey, in the event, this is what you would do. So I just wanted to add that as a training opportunity that was identified in this. There was a lot of training opportunities identified, but.
So at the point that she was in the hospital, you were involved with the tactical situation, or were the hostage team? Where is the suspect, or how is the suspect perimeter, and how did that look from your perspective, from the working?
Yeah, so I was actually off. I believe I was still assigned to CID at the time. I can't remember. I might have been in administration. I can't remember exactly.
You were in admin already.
Okay, I was already in admin, so I wasn't involved.
One of those admin people.
Oh yeah,
so we were in. I was snug as a bug in a rug in the house, But actually, I got a phone call in the middle of the night from Jesus Estrada with Sugar Land PD.
Great guy.
Yeah, so he was the president of the Sugar Land Police Officers Association. He called me and said, hey, I know it's late and y'all just had an officer get shot. I was like, what'd you say? And he's like, yeah, y'all just had an officer get shot. I said, what do you know? He's like, I'm on my way to the scene. So he was on duty that night, but he called me because he knew I was involved in the association. So
Estrada's a great dude.
He called me and said, hey, I said, hey, unfortunately I wasn't able to respond. My wife was out of town at the time. But I was able to quickly mobilize and get assistance to our officers, to Crystal, fairly quickly. So we were able to provide, spending money for her family because they were going to be at the hospital. We provided them a hotel, so they didn't have to travel back and forth. So we got them a hotel down in the medical center. So really that's, an important reason of why you want to be part of your local association. I know I hit on it when I was here last time, is getting involved in that local, because when things go bad or things, you need assistance, that's the stopgap right there, right? I mean, Tmpa, that's what we do, but there's also a gap in between.
Right.
And that's where that local comes in. So like Leighton Gennari showed up at the hospital, the Region 2 director called me, hey, how's your officer? What do y'all need? So Tmpa was on the spot, but ultimately that local association was able to step in and address that immediate need for the family, for Crystal, setting up, and working with the department to set up, who can come, when can they come. We had designated an officer directly to her and her family. So all of that was done at the local level.
You being on the street for 2 years, being an officer for 2 years, not just like I didn't come from a law enforcement family. Clint's come from like 3 or 4 generations of law enforcement. I think his great-great-grandfather and Stephen F. Austin were like riding buddies. Waking up after being shot in the face, shot in the leg, shot in the big toe, and injured severely, seeing, as Justin Ellis would describe it when he had his critical incident, seeing the sea of blue and seeing the overwhelming support for law enforcement of just not, they're there for you, but just like Jay said, they're providing, hotels for your family because they know that you need your family there with you. Mm-hmm. What's going through your mind at that point in time of knowing of some, because I know what's happening. Your family's reporting to you like, oh my God, Crystal, we wouldn't believe. And so they're reporting to you in those closed door moments with you of telling you all about, holy shit, you wouldn't believe the Houston officer that bought my lunch or that, those interactions. So kind of explain that.
So from what I gathered is that while I was in the hospital, there were so many restaurants, so many companies that were just catering to everybody that was just there. Apparently, and I don't know this because I was in the room, right? But there was like a lot of officers. They had it booked out at like a conference room loaded with officers everywhere. People were coming in, bringing food for everyone. And my sisters and everybody were laughing at me because every time like a nurse would come in, like one of my nurses, I'd be like, have you eaten? No, I was like, well, they have food. Like, go get some food. Like, go. And they were like, you're worried about everybody else. And, and I'm like, no, yeah, like everybody's here. We're all doing this together. Like, go get some food. But I've never really liked being like the center of attention like that, right? So it's just like, fuck, like because of something like this. It's and I go back and forth with certain people about like this, but like it wasn't like I ran into a burning building and like saved like kids and families. Like I did what I signed up to do. We all knew like putting on this uniform and getting in the car and showing up to work, the things that could possibly happen. The problem is that you never think it's going to happen to you, but you still show up and you're still going to perform and you're still going to do what you need to do, right? So I was just like, but I just did what I've always done. I would have done this in any scenario, and so it's just like, but then it's like, well, so-and-so's here and so-and-so's here. And then it got to the point where my family was like, there's a lot of people that are trying to come and see you right now, and they shut it down. I had officers with our department that were outside of my door 24/7, and not like you had to not be on a list, but like you had to have pre-authorization to like come in, because then there was like random people that wanted to just come in. My sisters overheard people talking that they obviously don't know the field and whatnot, but like they were trying to get pictures with me, and it was just, they were like, nope, because they also know how I am. And obviously in a situation like that where now I have a gunshot wound in the face and I'm all tore up looking, and you want to take pictures of me right now? Like, no. So they shut it down. They were like, no one, unless we have given pre-authorization, nobody can go in there. And that's how they had it.
Yeah, so I didn't recognize this. I was working a case in East Texas where a family had lost a child to a drowning. And it amazed me to find this out after the fact, but people will take advantage of such shitty situations. And I'm sure y'all have seen it. I hadn't been exposed to this till then, but they had tried to exploit the family and to try to con them into paying some money. And so I'm pretty sure we're probably going to see that at some point with some of our members that have suffered this type of injury. But
yeah, I mean, it happened in this situation. I mean, our association quickly set up a Help a Hero.
I remember that, yeah.
And it was actually, this incident occurred shortly before conference of 21 in San Antonio. So we were able to, provide the information about the Help a Hero to our membership across the state of Texas. Hey, I actually got on stage and talked about the incident a little bit and said, hey, anything can help, Help a Hero. But then we had people setting up GoFundMes that were fraudulent, and we had a church, a local church, a really strong supporter of the police in Missouri City, donate to a fraudulent campaign for her. And when contacted, they were like, "Oh, well, we didn't realize it. It had her picture, and like, no, that's not official. So now they're unfortunately out. Whatever." Money they donated. But yeah, I mean, people are going to take advantage, and, it's unfortunate, but I mean, it's just a reality.
Yeah.
Crystal, if we can back up a minute, you see him drop into the dark and the shots are fired. Mm-hmm. You realize something happened. You're not sure what. Are you aware? Do you know where he went at that point?
No. And that's actually, it's crazy you brought that up, because I would say after the incident, like post-incident, things have settled, calmed down. I would say within the last year, that's the only thing. It's not a haunting. It's that what if. That's the only thing I constantly think about, is that what if. Like I think in his head, and this is me just thinking, that if I hadn't gone down initially, he would have thought I was still alive. Or if I would have not gone unconscious, that he would have been like, well, she's still alive. And he would have came back and he could have popped more rounds into me. I think that me going down and staying down, because I went unconscious immediately, is kind of what saved me in that moment, because then he just takes off. After he's done unloading his clip, or however, he shot at me quite a bit, he takes off running.
And you only know you went unconscious, I guess, because of body camera?
Because of my body camera.
Do you know for how long you were there?
I would say, like, when I estimated it, it wasn't even 20 seconds. I mean, it was...
That's a pretty good time, though, with the injury that you had.
And it was... and that
There was enough time to make him leave.
Correct. It wasn't enough to make him think, like, she's not dead, let me go back and get her. Because I was back there by myself at that time. Landry was still looking. He was scanning for me. He was going to every house. He was looking for me. And that's honestly one of the things that bothers me the most, is thinking, like, dang, he could have came back. Because I never realized I was shot. I just know that when I came up, I was just bleeding, like, a lot. And I was like, what is all this blood? Like, where is it coming from? I couldn't tell you where it was coming from. I had no idea.
How long did you spend in the hospital?
I was there for 10 days. They kept me there a little longer than I wanted to, because they wanted to do the physical therapy, making sure that I could walk, and I was making laps around, like, the floor area. But just to make sure that I was okay physically to, like, just walk up and down, like, a set of stairs.
But you act like that's a long time. And being
I'm thinking shot in the face, and I'd stay 10 days. I'm like,
I was ready
Jesus
to
Christ.
go.
I thought you were going to say 10 months.
Yeah, me too.
No, I was
She hadn't even gotten a permanent room. She's asking, what time can I leave?
Seriously.
When am I getting out of here?
God, that's
Yeah.
insane.
How long were you off work total?
Actually, I'm just now getting back. I started in February of this year, part-time. My doctor released me to just kind of go and get my feet wet. That's how the PD wanted to handle it, too. Like, just come back, get settled, see if this is still something that you're okay with doing. And then I just got signed off last week to now return full-time.
Oh, wow.
So part-time, what have you been doing? Light duty or patrol?
No, they won't let me. Well, just because I'm not fully cleared, I wasn't able to touch a car, touch a gun, wear my uniform, nothing like that. I kind of came back, like, think a civilian, and they just gave me, like, some busy work. Like, just do a little bit of this, catch up on your classes, like, you know, stuff like that. Just taking it easy.
So I retired, and then they put her in my office.
Oh, yeah, so I'm actively in his old office.
I think you could take Jay's spot pretty
100%.
easy. I like it.
She's got the right attitude.
So speaking of I'll just call it what he is, the piece of shit that shot you, whatever happened to him?
He fled that night, fled the backyard, then what happened?
He did. And stop me if I mess up on some information. This is just, like, from what I know. So he takes off, and Landry is ready to go, right? He's got another officer with him. He's ready to go. Well, the sergeant comes over. He's like, just stop. Like, I'm on my way. Like, just wait.
Oh, to start a track.
Oh, yeah. He was ready to get the dog and just go. And so I know that eventually HPD rolls up, whole herd of them. Like, all of HPD shows up. Fortman County's out there. We had us state troopers, some state troopers out there. I mean, it was a whole bunch of us. So they start. Help me think of the word. What is his name?
The airplane, the helicopter?
What? Yes.
Fox.
Thank you. So they had Fox come out.
What is that?
It's HPD's helicopter unit. They call it Fox.
Yeah. So they had him come out, and there was, I guess, some tracking being done where Fox was able to see, okay, there's somebody here, but they're with a dog, or there's somebody here. So they eventually get around to, I think, the neighborhood behind where it had happened. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
I think so.
So HPD has 2 dogs out. Landry is told to stay back, right? Yeah. Landry is told to stay back. Landry cannot go. So HPD's out there, 2 dogs, a trooper's out there, some county guys are out there, Fort Bend County guys are out there. So this video is actually on YouTube. HPD released it from that date. So one of the dogs goes up to the side gate, front of the house side gate, right? He goes to it, is there for a few seconds, and then they start walking again, right? Well, then the dog stops, turns back around, and goes back to the house. And then I think he alerts his handler, however he alerted, I couldn't tell you how. But the handler was like, okay, let's go. So when he opens up the gate, the dog shoots off. Well, the guy, just darts in. The guy starts shooting at the dog. So that's how they know, like, okay, this is the backyard. So all the guys go in. He's still shooting at them. They exchange gunfire, and he ends up going down. Luckily, the dog was never harmed. None of the officers were harmed, anything like that. I couldn't tell you if he died on scene, but I know that at the hospital he was pronounced.
Oh, sweet. So he's DRT.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
And funny, right? He was a 19-year-old guy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The
Good.
coincidence on that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just a random ag robbery suspect, obviously, because of the flock hit. But
Right.
was he one of Kim Ogg's projects
Couldn't
of
tell you.
being out on bond?
I think he was.
Multiple-
Wasn't he?
He may have been. I can't recall.
I want to say that they mentioned something like that.
More than likely.
And then he had a passenger this whole time. I didn't know. He had a passenger with him in that car. I found this out later. And then he had told his passenger something along the lines was that he was going to kill us. So it didn't matter if it was me. It didn't matter if it was Landry. It didn't matter if it was any other officer out there. His plan was to shoot whoever it was that was coming after him.
What kind of gun do you have? Do you know?
9 mil something.
9 mil.
I think it had an extended magazine on it.
That's what I kept hearing on that too.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until like a few
But
weeks.
those are illegal. He wasn't following the law.
Yeah, I guess not.
Neither was possessing a gun by a felon or a piece of shit. But
Well, you can't shoot the police either. So
yeah. Wow. Well, I can't tell you how much we appreciate. I mean, the fact that number one, the fact that you were irritated that you were there 10 days. I mean, all of us are seasoned cops, and we were like, 10 days? Jesus
I'm thinking
Christ.
10 weeks, 10 months.
Fuck, I got a broke toe in 10 days. I'd be like, okay, a couple more days, I think I'll be good to go. But
Tell me about navigating. It's been a couple of years now. How personally growing, and you said the one thing that still haunts you is the dark, wondering about that guy if I hadn't have gone down, and the grace of God you going down saved you. But how personally working through this, what does that look like for Crystal to grow, heal, find some closure? Your dad got killed, and then you get shot, and thank God, by the grace of God, you're still here. And what is moving on and healing? What's that picture look like?
I think I've been doing okay. I mean, they're like, go talk to somebody until I have to. And I go, and, from what I've gathered from them, everything is, they think that I'm processing it well. I know that there have been some days that have been harder than others. There have been some pockets of time that were harder than others where I'm just kind of, it was a life change, because you go in to work, you've been doing this, you have a schedule, you have a routine, you have your life pretty much kind of set, right, in the way that it is. And then you go get shot. And then I think the part that irritated me the most after that was that people treated me now like you're handicapped, like you're fragile. Like it's not that like I'm this badass because I got shot. I'm just like, but don't treat me like I'm gonna break if I fall.
Right.
Like I'm not glass. Like it's okay, And so it's like, even with that, then you start thinking, I remember crying to my fiance, and I'm just thinking like, what does my life look like in 6 months? And then we get to that 6-month mark, and it's like, okay, like it's been going good. And, and then during this time that I've been out, I ended up pregnant, had my second son. And it's just like everything that has happened after that, it's just been like I'm taking it all in. I think about like, okay, you don't get shot in the face, through the head, out the ear, and like get to live to tell this story. So it's like,
It's crazy.
I just take it all in. Like I think about the moment, and I'm just like, I get to experience this. Like I get to do it. So it's okay. Like it's good. It's just now I was out, and so then you become a mom again, right? And then so you're dealing with like post-trauma that you really haven't dealt with, and then you're dealing with like postpartum, which is a whole beast in itself, and both of those colliding. You're just like, what is really going on? And then you start questioning, who are you? Like, what are you doing with life? Like, what is going on? And so I've been very eager to get back to some type of normalcy for me, which is the PD, and like what that looked like. Just get me in. Like, and I was very eager to come back, because I'm like, let me just do something that feels familiar, that feels like an old piece of me, because since my incident, I'm a completely different person.
Yeah.
I'm not the same person. And so I've just been looking for like that little piece. So now that I get to go back to work, I'm just excited. I'm looking forward to it. New opportunities, new everything. So the mindset that I have now is just like, take it in. Like, it's not worth being mad about. Don't be mad about it. Like, just enjoy the things that you can enjoy. If you have a little bit of money, your bills are paid, take the trip. Don't take the trip. Like, take the trip. Like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but if you have some sick days and you really just don't feel like going to work today, take your sick days. Because then I think about, I would have died. The city would have stayed with all my time. I'm glad that I took my days off. Yeah. I'm very glad that I did. But it's just stuff like that. Like, just enjoy
life.
Enjoy it. Like, just do it.
LIVIDNG.
What's your hopes? What you going inside the PD? Patrol, CID, promote?
CID is what we're looking at now.
Okay.
Prior to getting shot, I had this whole plan. I was doing some UC work, and I wanted to really pursue that. I wanted to take it bigger. I wanted to hopefully be so good that I was working with DEA, with FBI, like doing, and then you go get shot, become center of attention. They plaster your face everywhere.
Faces everywhere, yeah.
They plaster your face, and then it's like, now the PD won't chance it. They're like, okay, maybe you can work not, but on the backside. Like, you can process the paperwork, and it's like, dang it, So it's just finding, like, a new avenue with the PD. And so there's talk about me going to CID. I'm really excited about that because I'm trying to see what I can do there, like what all can be done. And I know that there's a lot of work to be done, but just how fun can I make it? How good can you get?
When one door closes, another one will open. Sure. And there's a reason why it happened.
Yep. And I'm glad you're aware most people don't get shot in the face and then pretty much return to a pretty normal life. I mean, you look great walking in, nobody would ever know, and you're healthy walking. Most people in life don't get shot in the face and then roll on and, by God, I'm sick of the hospital. Can you get me out of here? I've been here for an hour already. And you've got a testament and a story and an example for people that have gone through this, because cops are pessimistic. We're complainers, gripers, and I broke my foot, woe is me, and I can't get on SWAT now because I've hurt my foot. And, well, you could have been shot in the face. So suck it up. Let's move on. Enjoy your career, enjoy life. And like you said, take the trip. Because we get in a rut sometimes in this job. And what a story that you have to share.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we like to end each episode with 3 rapid fire questions. Jay was supposed to tell you what they are.
You didn't study for this?
Oh,
Jay.
Cheating?
Okay.
So, what is your favorite line from a cop movie or your favorite cop movie? You like that?
That was good.
It was practicing. So, your favorite line from a cop movie or your favorite cop movie?
End of Watch.
That's an awesome one.
It feels more realistic.
That's
I watch
a
Bad Boys and I get pissed. I'm like, that doesn't happen. You don't get to shoot a whole city and take all these cars out and just go to the next. No, End of Watch.
That's a common answer on here.
Favorite cop car?
Cop car? Mm-hmm. I've only known the Explorer.
You only know what you know.
And I've done good in the Explorer. I never fleeted. I never anything. So I'll just stick to the Explorer.
Whoa.
I know.
You never say that.
Right.
You can't say that shit.
Which part?
I never. You gotta knock on wood 3 times. Come on. What the? That's like saying the quiet word on patrol.
I mean, one time I ran into like a little tree bush, like in a
parking
lot.
That's not a fleet.
But
you can't say that.
Yeah,
If you're fixing to go back to work and you say that shit on a podcast,
I never fleeted. I don't even have a car.
God.
They don't. I walked around with a Nerf gun because they won't let me walk around with my gun.
They're going to drive her around, so.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's like saying, well, it's awfully quiet for a full moon.
There's a couple of people in Mo City that just need to be driven around. Fleets.
There's no argument there. There's a lot of cops that need that. What is your favorite drink of choice when you are relaxing with friends and family?
On that vacation.
Oh, man. Crown Apple Sprite.
Crown Apple Sprite. That sounds pretty good.
That sounds pretty good. Like right now.
Good. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Well, hey, we got our conference coming up. We're always looking for people to come, spread the word, talk about, mic went out, talk about Tmpa, talk about the many benefits that we've got. But also, I know that you don't think of yourself as a legend or that your situation, but you got to look at it from our perspective. I'm a 20-year cop. Clint's a 30-something-year-old cop. Not year-old.
A 30-year-old. Thank you, man.
30 years of service. Jay's got a number of years of service. What you went through, you remind me a lot of a good friend of mine, Claudia Cormier, down in San Marcos. The drive behind you and the dedication shown for you to return back to work in such a manner that what you did. There needs to be more. You need to share your story with more people. because I think law enforcement, we get wrapped up and so engulfed in all the negative bullshit that we get wrapped up in every single day.
That really doesn't matter.
It doesn't make a shit. It doesn't make a nothing. And so to see a success story like yours, I remember the morning when you were shot. Tmpa, there's emails that float around and text messages, and I was like, oh my God. And so you hear about it, and to see you're sitting next to me today, to feel it, to see you, to hug you, it's a huge success story. So it's awesome. So it means a lot.
Honored to have you on.
Absolutely.
Absolute pleasure to have you on.
Yeah. All right.
And we didn't judge you at all because Jay. We don't hold that against you.
Please
But
don't.
you need to have
He's
better
a really
company.
nice guy. He really is.
You're still defending him.
Hey, I am a nice guy.
He is. He's never been wrong. Towards me. He's never done
He tells me all the time, I've never been wrong.
I've never been wrong. Can't recall one time.
You hired her. I mean, clearly.
That's true. Shout out to our camera girl, Natalie Garza. She is, I don't know if by this time this podcast drops, she might be giving birth to her first child. But also, shout out to Miss Shelley, who is assisting with our camera details. We were going to get her on the podcast sometime pretty soon while Miss Natalie is out.
Shelley, the Vanna White of Blue Grit Podcast.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You got anything else?
I got nothing. TMPA Conference, July 26, 27, 28. TMPA FOP Joint Conference, Dallas, Texas. Hyatt Regency Reunion Tower, be there, or be square. You're a loser if you don't come.
Pretty big election that's coming up.
You're a loser if you don't come.
Yeah. I'm not a loser, though. I'm coming.
I'll be there.
I'll be there. You guys take care. Stay safe. God bless you. And as always, may God bless Texas.